think you've seen quirky scooters before? Well, hold on, because in 1954 the Italians gave the world something that looked like a cartoon character on wheels but had the heart of a racer. I'm talking about the Rumi Formichino 125, a scooter so strange, so ahead of its time, and so full of secrets that most people today have never even heard of it. And let me tell you, behind that insect-like face hides an engineering story that'll blow your mind. But before we dive into these hidden stories, smash that subscribe button like you're smashing a mosquito buzzing in your ear at 2 a.m. Annoying, but so satisfying. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around till the end, because one of the little secrets of this scooter explains why collectors today are ready to pay insane money for what looks like a toy bike. Here's the first shocker. The Rumi factory wasn't even a motorcycle company to begin with. Nope, it was a weapons manufacturer. Before building scooters, Rumi was making military equipment and submarines during World War II. After the war, like many Italian firms, they had to reinvent themselves to survive. Instead of building weapons, they decided to build something far less dangerous, or maybe just differently dangerous, scooters. And that's how we got the Formichino, which in Italian means little ant. Why ant? Well, it was small, lightweight, and scurried around the streets of Italy with surprising speed. But here's the twist. While other scooter brands were using pressed steel or cheap metal frames, Rumi decided to take a completely different route. And what they chose would not only make the scooter unique, but also give it some shocking advantages, which we'll uncover in just a second. Unlike the Vespa or Lambretta, which were made of steel, the Rumi Formichino was built entirely out of cast aluminum. Yep, the whole body was like a solid chunk of aircraft material. Why aluminum? Simple. It was light, it didn't rust, and Rumi already had the expertise from building submarines and war equipment. The result? The scooter weighed just about 110 pounds, 50 kilograms. That's lighter than most modern e-bikes. You could literally pick this thing up and carry it upstairs if you wanted to. But here's the crazy part. The aluminum construction gave it this smooth, flowing, almost futuristic look. Some people said it looked like a bug, others said it looked like a toy. But once you hopped on, you realized this wasn't a toy at all. And just wait until you hear what kind of engine Rumi decided to hide inside this little aluminum insect. It wasn't what you'd expect from a cute scooter. All right, here's where things get spicy. The Rumi Formichino was powered by a 125cc twin-cylinder two-stroke engine. Yes, you heard that right, twin-cylinder. Most scooters back then were single-cylinder machines buzzing around like oversized hairdryers. But Rumi gave this little ant the heart of a sports bike. The engine produced around 6 horsepower, which might not sound like much today, but remember, it only had to move 50 kilograms of aluminum and a rider. That combination gave it a top speed of about 65 kilometers per h, 40 miles per hour. For a scooter in the 1950s, that was impressive. And here's where it gets fun. Riders said the scooter had a surprisingly aggressive exhaust note. Imagine pulling up next to someone on a Vespa with your twin-cylinder screaming like an angry bee on steroids. Not exactly the cute little ant sound people expected, but performance was just the beginning. Rumi wasn't done shocking the world with this design. In fact, the next secret explains why this scooter became a symbol of Italian creativity. But the Formichino? It was designed like a piece of art. The flowing aluminum curves, the integrated fenders, and that bug-eyed headlamp made it stand out instantly. It looked more like a piece of sculpture rolling through Milan than a scooter. And get this, the design was so unique that the Formichino actually won awards at international design fairs. That's right, a little scooter that people laughed at on the streets ended up being recognized as a design masterpiece. But here's the kicker. While the design turned heads, Rumi had something even bolder up their sleeves. They didn't just want to make a stylish city scooter, they wanted to race it. And what they did next left the competition speechless. Rumi took the Formichino and started entering it into endurance races and scooter competitions in Italy. And here's the wild part. It actually won. That lightweight aluminum frame and peppy twin-cylinder engine meant it could outrun many of the heavier scooters on the track. Rumi riders dominated several endurance races, proving that this little ant wasn't just cute, it could sting. Some say this racing heritage is what gave the Formichino its cult status, because while Vespa and Lambretta were selling millions of scooters worldwide, the Rumi Formichino remained this niche, exotic machine that insiders knew had real racing DNA. And speaking of cult status, wait until you hear what collectors today are willing to pay for one of these. It's going to shock you. Here's the final secret. Because Rumi was a small company, production numbers were very limited. They only made a few thousand Formichinos before shutting down scooter production in the early 1960s. That scarcity, combined with the unique design and racing background, has made the Formichino insanely collectible today. How collectible? Well, depending on the condition, a Rumi Formichino can fetch anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 at auctions. That's the price of a brand new car, for what people once dismissed as a funny-looking aluminum bug. And get this, because the body is all aluminum, many of them survived in better condition than steel-bodied scooters, which rusted away. So when you see one today, it almost feels like stepping into a time machine. But more than the price tag, what makes the Formichino special is how it represents post-war Italy, a country reinventing itself, turning weapons into art, and proving that even the tiniest scooter could carry a giant story. So there you have it. The shocking secrets of the 1954 Rumi Formichino 125. Born from a weapons factory, sculpted from aluminum, powered by a feisty twin-cylinder engine and transformed from city scooter to race winner. It may have been called the Little Ant, but its legacy is anything but small. Next time someone brags about their Vespa, just ask them if their scooter was ever cast from submarine aluminum and raced in endurance competitions. Chances are they'll be left speechless. And that's why the Rumi Formichino isn't just a scooter. It's a hidden chapter of motorcycle history that deserves to be remembered.